Hello everyone. Hopefully I can get through this quickly because I want to go to bed. I'm tired. So Medecos. Doesn't matter what make you have, they pick mostly the same. So first you have to think about the pre-picking. Medecos have obviously two parts, the top pins as well as the rotating finger pins. The thing about the finger pins is that before you start the camera to record, you need to scramble them in some way to be able to basically say, hey, I didn't just set all the rotations before this, to be able to just get it open quickly. The way you can do that is either with the key. This isn't a Medeco key, this is an M-Heart key, but it works the same. You put the key in, and then because of the way that the back is shaped, you'll see that it becomes to a neutral point. Let's see, sorry. It becomes a centered neutral point, and that means that they all sit to center. The other option is by using a rake, you're able to scramble the pins. This scrambles all of the pins to a random direction in theory, but is actually influenced by the way that you rake. So on the back stroke, if I rake it to the right, you see I can rotate it slightly clockwise. Then they'll be biased to the right side. If I go in through the left side, they'll be biased slightly to the left. The same thing can be done with a hook if you don't have a rake. You go in from the back and you rake, but you'll see again, if I pull from this side, they bias towards the pulling from the right. If you do, from the left rather, if you do it from the right, it does much the same. And you'll see that the direction changes a bit. So neither of them are particularly foolproof, but they are still close enough, I would say. So we'll give it one last rake, and we'll get to the actual nitty-gritty. The actual nitty-gritty is that you can either pick clockwise or counterclockwise on most of these, unless it's in padlock, in which case you're forced to do clockwise. The clockwise tension generally binds the top stack first. Counterclockwise generally binds the bottom stack first. Why is this? Because the sidebar down here is flat at the bottom part here and is curved at the top part here. So when you do this, the flat part contacts against the sidebar groove first, or rather it doesn't technically. Because it's flat, it doesn't contact very much and it doesn't bind very much. So the top stack binds first. If you go counterclockwise, actually because of the way that the sidebar is made, it sort of has this curve on the top part. It binds the top part of the sidebar, which is not flat. It's this sort of this shape. So it hits that, and so it binds first. In general, Medecos, people will probably tell you go counterclockwise because it's easier. Let me tell you why. Let's go in and let's find a pin. Pin 5 maybe is binding. 4. Pin 4 is binding. I think I've said it. And what you're doing is basically you grab a pin, you raise it, and at the same time you're pulling back on it from a given angle. I have actually influenced all of these pins to be slightly rotated this way, so they face this way. If I do that, then because of the warding in here, it much prefers the left pull. So because of that, I'm able to better influence my rotations by having everything already set to the right rotation, and only if they need to come backwards will they come backwards. So again, that's 2, and that's 3. 4, you'll hear it was very dull. That's because 4 is binding. And we'll keep sort of pulling and raising with 4. And you'll notice a pattern is that I'm pulling as I raise, and I will run my pick under the pin. And when you have a correctly set pin, or when the pin is not binding, you'll hear that clicking. And that clicking tells you that the pin is either not binding or has been set to the correct gate. Pin 4 does not have this clicking. Pin 5 has this clicking. So pin 4 obviously is the problem pin. I rotated a bit to the leftwards angle, and it doesn't click because I'm in a false gate. That was the pin in front of it, I think. Okay, I rotated it, and now you can hear clicking. 5, clicking, 6, clicking. Now it's pin 1. Now you'll see that I actually really drop tension quite a lot. You can see I use rather stout tension when I'm testing, and I use very little when I'm not. This is because the sidebar, the harder it binds, the harder it is to rotate. So you need to have good tension control to be able to pick Medecos quite well. I've set 1 there, now it's 3. I set 3 by pulling back on it, and it opens. Because of the way that Medecos are, they often have standard pins and mushrooms. In later iterations, they began introducing the barrel, but a lot of older biaxials and originals, and even M3s, don't have these barrels. So generally, you don't really need to care. Something I didn't mention because it didn't happen is that even if you drop all of your pins, your rotations stay the same. So if you've set all of your rotations, but you haven't set the tops, you can completely let go of tension, and you'll keep your rotations. You might just need to wiggle back and forth on the pin to get it into the gate. But yeah, that should hopefully explain the general ideas of the Medeco. The back and forth test is the biggest thing that you should always be doing in a Medeco, because it will tell you exactly if a pin needs to be set. If it clicks, don't touch it. If it doesn't, reduce tension, rotate one way or another. If you rotate for a long time on one way like this, then it probably means that you either skipped the gate in the center, or you need to go the other way. And you can do that by just, instead of holding the pick like this, by going this way, you just go this way instead, and you do the same thing. Otherwise, that's the Medeco. Hope that was informative enough despite me being quick. And I hope you get this open.